All right, so we're officially recording. So again, thank you all for showing up live with me today. I'm really excited. I have a lot of content that I want to share with you all, and just hope there's different ways to look at motivation, different ways to implement it. So there's no right way, wrong way. It's what works best for you. And I've been working on some different things lately too, and so I wasn't originally planning on taking a different shift with it, but I realized that I needed to shift and help you to realize that it doesn't have to be like pressure and hard and so much work to find motivation. I know that's a whole different concept. I mean, I don't know about you all, but motivation has always been like pressure and hard and like, I don't know if anybody else can relate to that, but
Yeah.
has always been me, right? So I've been working a lot on energy and ease and joy and glory. And I realized that motivation doesn't have to be that pressure and that push. It can be something that's ease. And so it's just looking at it a little bit differently. And so there's a few different things that I'm going to share today that I wasn't originally planning on. So again, a lot of content. Again, thank you all for being here. And it's really I'm going to do a little bit of review first. I did a workshop a few weeks back about motivation, kind of explaining three different kinds of motivation. So I'm going to do a little review on that really quick, and then I'm going to dive into a little bit about identity. And then from there, if we have time, we'll dive into the 7 levels of why, 7 levels deep, which is a fantastic exercise as well. If we don't, then we'll loop back and do that on another workshop because I really want to be respectful and try to keep this to 30 minutes for everybody. Because I know that sometimes 30 minutes is plenty and sometimes, it's not. um, so how how we create motivation um that doesn't fizzle out. That's really what we're here for. Like, sometimes we'll get that spur and all of a sudden we're in the right mindset and we're excited and we're motivated and we're like that 0 to 60, right? Anybody else been that 0 to 60 and
Yeah.
it lasts for like what, 2, maybe 4 weeks if we're lucky, and
Mhm.
then we fall flat on our face, right? Anybody else been there?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay. And that, so motivation comes mainly from three different places. Two are the most popular. And this is where people will say, if I just get my mindset right, if I just have the energy, if I can just, be ready to do it, I'll do it. I'll make the changes or whatever. Well, though, when it comes like that, it's usually one of these first two. The first one is fear or pain motivation. We get motivated because all of a sudden we are afraid. Maybe we just got a diagnosis. We were just given medication. We were just, something happened, or maybe, God forbid, a loved one had a diagnosis or a death or something scary happened to where they're created fear and pain. Because when the pain of change is greater, is when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change, you're going to change, right? So fear or pain is a very powerful motivator, but it only lasts as soon as you get far enough away from that. Because think about like this is screaming at you, that pain or fear is screaming at you. As soon as you get far enough away from that where you can't hear it screaming at you anymore, I can relax, I can settle, I can, get complacent. And what happens when we get complacent? Those old habits start to come back. And then we wonder what's wrong with us and why we can't stay consistent. Anybody else? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the pain or fear motivator. The second one is destination, right? There's a wedding coming up, there's a vacation, traveling, whatever, swimsuit season. I mean, there's some people are really motivated by that. Some destination of some sort that will be motivating enough for you to make some changes, get healthy, do something. Um, let's take a different spin on this. You get an hour notice that somebody's going to be at your house unexpectedly. How fast can you clean your house and put things away for that unexpected company? Pretty
Yeah.
darn fast, right? You were not motivated until you got that phone call. A destination motivator, right? So this can be applied to anything, right? So those are two really most popular motivators. But again, they're both short-lived, and then you get complacent and lax, and the old habits and old things come back. So the third one is where you can have more sustainability. And there's different ways to look at this. It's really knowing your intrinsic motivation, the why that's from within. When you really have a strong why that is attached to your heartstrings, it's an emotional attachment. that's when this is going to be stronger than whatever you're saying yes to, right? It's going to be harder to say no to that heartstring motivation than it is to say no to the distraction, to the food, to the not, walking, whatever it is, right? So when you have that motivator, it's going to be stronger. And that's going to help pull you forward versus you're running away from something. You're going to be going pulled forward towards something. So now I'm going to kind of take a little spin on this because I have an exercise that I learned many years ago. It's called 7 Levels Deep. And if we have time, we'll review that. And there's actually a short, like 8-minute video that I would love to share from Dean Graziosi, who it's a video I've learned about it from years ago. It's brilliant. But before I go there, I actually want to talk a little bit about identity. Okay. So, and this is something that I've been playing with myself. I've been really curious for myself. And I'm vulnerable to a fault. Most of you know me and well enough. Some of you don't know me as well, but I am very, very vulnerable. I have nothing to hide. I'm so vulnerable. People are like, what is wrong with you? But it's free. A couple of years ago, I was really freed with vulnerability, being vulnerable, my struggles, the things that have held me back, that I fight with on a daily. Being vulnerable with it and sharing that and being relatable to others has really allowed me to have a lot more freedom, a lot less pressure, and a lot less weight on my shoulders. So a couple of years ago, there's a book by Brene Brown, Daring Greatly. It was a combination of things, but that book was a pivotal book for me. She talks about shame. She talks about guilt. And in that book, I really took ownership of, I don't want to feel the shame and guilt anymore. I've always said that I had a lot of different kryptonites, they're food related, but I never took ownership that I had a food addiction or emotional eater. After reading that book and really being aware that I really wanted to let go of the guilt and shame, that's when I really shifted and took ownership of the emotional eating and of the food addictions, and I'm very vulnerable about it. And I think that there's not enough people that talk about it. It is such a very normal thing in our society, and something that there's so many people that hold a lot of shame and guilt around those and try to hide from it. But the vulnerability will help set you free. To an extent, and I'm going to elaborate on that reason why I wasn't planning on going into that a whole lot, but I did it was meant to be. So, the reason why I went into that is because I've been stuck in this identity for almost 2 years now. And initially it was beautiful. It set me free, being the ownership of the food addiction and the emotional eating. I was kind of stuck in that. I've been stuck in that identity of struggling with, right? I have emotional eating. I'm a food addict. I'm contending for this. I've used those words a lot. And so shifting from this identity of struggling with and contending for, I became aware several weeks ago that, like, okay, this has become my identity, but it's not where I want to be. I actually want to be over here to where, yes, I still, actually on another call we had earlier, Rachel actually had a great analogy. If you don't mind me sharing, Rachel, it was beautiful and I don't know your faith. I'm Christian. Doesn't matter where your faith is or not. But the analogy was somebody who was not saved is a sinner. And once you are saved, you are still a sinner, but you're saved. Right? I feel like I'm in the in-between space right now with my food addiction and my emotional eating. Does that make any sense? Can anybody else relate with what I'm saying? Okay, I'm seeing some head nods. So I became aware I am, a sinner, but the food addiction, the eating, emotional eating. Mm-hmm. And now I'm in this middle spot, like, okay, I know that's part of who I am, but I don't want that to define me. I don't want that to control me. I'm ready to be saved and to shift into this new space with my identity. So I feel like our identity holds us back so much. So I started really contemplating this and talking about and thinking about where does our identity come from, especially when it comes to health? Like, this is really a little bit more health focused and everything. So I actually asked ChatGPT, and I kind of want to open up for you ladies too, and gentlemen, if you want to participate, it's optional. Of in our society, when you see somebody that looks as they have a healthy lifestyle, what is your perception of their identity? We all have a perception. We all have them. We may not verbalize. We've never really maybe thought about it, but we have this, and it's this perception of what their identity is. Is anything coming up for anybody that you want to share?
I feel that when I look at somebody that has more success or is successful in whatever they choose to be successful at, whether they're healthy, working out, their mind is good. Um, I just feel like success is basically being a better version of ourselves, because that could just add to whatever we're doing now. And it does actually help the mindset, have a healthier mind, healthier body.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. And what kind of what I'm asking, and I guess maybe I didn't word it right, is what is our impression of them? And then we usually take an impression of somebody, at least this is me.
Mhm.
It's totally unconscious. It just happens like that. And you don't even realize it's not conscious at all. You see somebody who's more successful, thinner, healthier, whatever, got it all together. And then you immediately put like a perception on them that you then attach as that their identity. But then you take that and you come back to yourself and compare yourself to them. And oh,
Mhm.
I'm not worthy. I could never be that good. I could never be that disciplined. I could never be, I could never be. Anybody else realize
Yeah.
they do
Yeah.
that? Like without even thinking about it, it just happens.
Yeah.
So in our as society wise, so I love ChatGPT. It's kind of fun. So I used it to ask, okay, what is society's view of a healthy person? What's the perception? And just in the general. And it's really fascinating. So it says it's often rooted in appearance, performance, or external validation. These are the service level assumptions most people carry, often shaped by social media, fitness ads, and well-being, wellness marketing. Lean, toned, or fit body. Thinness equals healthy, disciplined, and restrictive with food. Eats clean 24/7.
Mm.
Exercises intensely every day. Wears activewear or looks the part. Has high energy all the time. Never eats sugar or carbs. Wakes up at 5 a.m. and drinks green juice.
Huh.
Always motivated and productive, has perfect control over cravings and emotions. I don't know. I thought about many of those things as my perception of people who have a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I thought it was kind of fascinating. And then I thought, wow. And then I take that and then I judge myself for not being there, not being
Mhm.
like that. And then, oh, I'm not worthy. I can never be like that. So why do I even try? Anybody
Yeah.
have that thought go through their brain? Right? So I could
Mhm.
never be as perfect as this perception of somebody else, not knowing anything about their story, not knowing anything about their struggles or how where they came from. And then I judge myself and tell myself why I can't be like that. Okay. So, anyways, I my brain is going like five different directions. So then I asked, okay, so what is the identity of that person who is in that healthy body, right? That healthy lifestyle, the one that we're judging, and don't be offended by that. Humans judge. We do it automatically without even trying. It just happens. Um, but what is the identity of that person? What does that look like? And so what ChatGPT said was grounded in daily intentional choices, emotional awareness, and long-term alignment, not perfection. Listens to their body's needs, knows when to rest and when to move, sees food as nourishment, not punishment or reward, has a growth mindset about health, manages stress with tools, not numbing. That's a big one. Allows for joy and balance. Yes, even dessert. Gets curious after setbacks, not judgment. Chooses alignment over all or nothing thinking. Focuses on how they feel, not just how they look. Practices emotional regulation, not emotional stuffing. Makes decisions based on their future self. Revisits their why and intrinsic motivation regularly. Okay. Now, that list is a totally different list than the first one. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Now, that list, if you would then take that list and compare yourself to it, I bet you can find some things that you do on that list. Not everything, let's be real. We're not perfect, but I'm sure you can relate to and go, oh, well, I'm actually doing some of those things. Was there anything that you guys found like, oh, well, I do listen to my body's needs.
Mhm.
Don't go into judgment if you don't the emotional eating, the numbing piece, right? I can go into judgment on myself on that one,
Mhm.
but don't do that. Recognize what it is that you do well, right? We all have progress. There's no rivalism when it comes to health. Do you have a question, Stacy? No. Okay.
Sorry, I need to check with somebody real quick. I'm gonna go off, I'm listening, but I'm gonna go off
Okay.
camera.
Not a
Thank
problem.
you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Okay. So focus on where you do relate. Focus on the positive, and then you can build on that, right? If we start focusing on our strengths, it's so much easier to build on that than focusing on our weaknesses and what we're not doing. We do that, then we get really in the judgment of ourselves and in the why even try? I can't do it. And we go into that little thing. So with that, there is a quick Rick, did you have something you want to add? I've seen you come off mute for a moment.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I gave you the opportunity. So there is a reel, oh shoot, that I just shared in Real Talk with Brooke. Actually, my husband found it and it was brilliant. Exactly what I was wanting to share with this, that I want to share with you all. So let me get it queued up here and make sure you all can see and hear. Can you see this? You can see
Yep.
okay, see in the head nods.
Discovered the guy's story is going to change your life. Nick Sitzman worked on freezer box cars in a train yard. One day while working, he realized that all of his coworkers had gone home. But when he tried to leave, he discovered he was locked inside. He screamed, pounded on the walls, but no one heard him and panic set in. He started carving these words into the wooden walls. I'm becoming colder, still colder now, with nothing to do but wait. And finally, these may be my last words. The next morning, his coworkers opened the boxcar and found Nick lying on the floor. He had died of hypothermia. But here's the crazy part. During the investigation, they found that freezer boxcar, it wasn't working and hadn't been for days. In fact, the temperature inside never got below 55 degrees. Nick didn't die from the cold. He died from what he believed was happening to him. His mind, his thoughts, created a physical reaction that was so powerful it shut down his body. Our bodies believe what our mind repeats. So what are you telling yourself? I'm always going to struggle with my weight. I'm addicted to sugar. I'm just not a healthy person. I can't do this. I'm not making a difference. When you repeat those beliefs, even silently, your nervous system, your hormones, your behavior start to align with those beliefs, even without you realizing it. But what if you shifted that dialogue to, I am a lean, healthy person. My body knows how to heal. I choose foods that fuel me. I can do this and I am making a difference. Now you may roll your eyes and say, I've tried that and it didn't work. And believe me, I thought that for years too. But here's the thing, affirmations aren't magic spells. They are planting seeds of identity, hope, and faith. And when we pair that with action, our brains start to filter our choices through that new lens. When we say, I'm a healthy person enough times, our brain nudges our decisions a healthy person would make, even if it's subtle, like ordering water instead of soda, stop eating when satisfied, or feeling motivated to go on a walk. It's not a coincidence. It's something called neuroplasticity. Your brain literally reshaping itself around who you believe you are. And that's something I am still trying to work on. This guy's story.
All right. That was pretty powerful, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So my husband shared that in one of our group messages, and I was like, that's exactly, because it really is about our identity, and what we believe becomes our identity, right? And my identity has totally shifted over the last 11 years, being a wellness coach and a health advocate. But again, there's no rivalism. I'm ready to shift again. So it is, what am I telling myself? So recognizing where I'm at currently with my identity, what do I want my identity to become? Those are the words I'm going to start telling myself, and creating action steps to start making those a reality. It doesn't have to be big things, right? It is what's something little that you can do to start to create that as a reality, so you can believe it and create that ownership of your identity. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So it's 2:22. I feel like I have so much more that I want to share, but I feel like I've talked a lot, and I want to just kind of open it up, questions, comments, or anything like that, that anybody has.
I have just a little story, and you were talking about, judging people. Like, I was at the gym several years ago. It was about a year after I had my brain aneurysm, and I'm trying to get back to the gym, trying to get healthy, trying to move. And, every day I would see this girl 2 rows down, and she'd start walking, and then she'd be running, and she was running, 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 running. And I'm like, I just wish. And I always felt like people were looking at me like, why is she here? She's not doing much. I was healing. I saw this woman in the dressing room, and I went up to her and I said, I want to know where you started. And she almost died. Um, and she motivated me to no end. So you don't know other people's stories. You don't know where they've started. You don't know where they've been. And talk to them, because it does make a difference. Yeah.
It really does. Because again, you
Mhm.
don't know somebody's story.
No.
We make up our own story for people.
Yes,
And,
absolutely.
and then that creates judgment on ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
then I don't feel welcome here. I shouldn't be here. People are looking at me, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Had you not talked to her, you probably would have felt like a failure and probably not gone back to the gym.
Right, right. Nope. And every time I saw her there, we would wave, and I would just get a little better and a little better. And, it does make a difference. Yeah.
Definitely does. So when we're talking about ease with motivation, it's really going to be like deciding who you be. Is making that choice. Like, what is the identity? Like we just talked about. It's like, okay, you know where you're at. What is the identity you want to create? Creating those affirmations, like that little reel just shared. And maybe it's not as big as she says. Maybe it's something in between. Take little baby steps and start to tell that to yourself to plant the seeds.
Mhm.
And then what is one action you can do? It might be little, but that's okay. One
Mhm.
action you can do to make that belief come to reality.
Yeah.
1 millimeter at a time. And it can be ease. Doesn't have to be that hard push, all or nothing, where there's so much pressure and push to have the motivation. So that most of the time, at least in my experience, when I've had a lot of big pressure and push, it's very short-lived.
Mhm.
Even if it is with some sort of intrinsic motivation, it still feels like, because I can only do that pressure and push for so long before I need a break. And then I got to find up the steam to get the pressure and push back to go for a little while, and then have to take a break. Anybody else been there?
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
So how can we start to create more ease with it? Yes, we want to know our intrinsic motivations, but not using that for the pressure and the push, but to really help us to shape what is the identity that we're moving towards.
Mhm.
So we can learn how to believe that, just like the guy in the boxcar. believed it with all of his might. And even though it was not cold in there, he believed it so much that our brains are powerful.
Yeah.
So, so powerful. And it's one thing to say an affirmation and not act, but you have to act on it. This is something else I wrote down that I wanted to share kind of on those lines is, where did I write it down? Is when you give yourself awareness, right? The first step is that awareness. Where are you? Where do you want to be? I want to be here. Awareness. And then give yourself allowance that you're where you're at. You gotta give yourself some allowance and not judge yourself and not, let go of that guilt and shame of where you're at. Because if you hold on to that guilt and shame, that's just going to keep you stuck. That's going to keep you there. It's going to keep you in judgment of yourself. You got to let go of that judgment, that guilt and shame. And then ask the question, okay? You're aware of where you want to go, allowance of where you're at. Ask your question of what can you do to start to move towards this? What's one step, one thing, one habit that you can start to do to move towards where you want to be, to the identity, and then take action on that.
Yeah.
So awareness, allowance, ask questions, and take action. So it's kind of 4 A's. And that will help you to stay in ease and creativity. And when you ask yourself questions like, what can I do? That actually triggers your creative juices in your brain. And when you're creating something, it is so much easier versus you're trying to make something happen and you're not in creative, you're just trying to push. So much harder than if you ask yourself, what can I do? What's next? What else is possible? Those create the creative juices in our brains, and that creativity creates ease. And how much happier will we be if we're not pushing and struggling with whatever it is we're working on, and instead be in choice and in ease and asking those questions and allowing ourselves to be where we're at while choosing the next thing.
Mhm.
So I hope that was helpful. I did not get a chance to get to the next piece, which is the 7 layers deep, which really is more about the intrinsic motivator. There's a video on that. I can post the video in the Real Talk with Brooke, so you guys can watch that, and then we could loop back on that. I have to look at my calendar if I could do next Friday for the next workshop, or if it would be the following Friday. But I really felt compelled to, instead of going straight to the 7 levels, to be more about identity and ease, because it's not what we typically see in health journeys. It's a lot of willpower and grit and pushing and pressure and right. Anybody else is, I've
Oh,
experienced
yeah.
that.
Fear.
Running away from something, but trying to keep that fear right here. So you keep running.
Yeah.
Right. And that's it. Yeah. Anyways, we can go along. So any other thoughts, comments, questions? Was this helpful?
Very.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah. I needed that this week. Absolutely.
Oh, good. Good, good. I'm so glad that this was helpful.
What was the fourth A?
What was that, Rick? I'm sorry.
What was the fourth A?
Is action.
Thank you.
Yep. Yep. And there's another word that sometimes I use with that is aligned action. And that
Okay.
is like, what is that next thing that's in alignment with to getting to the next place, right? And one little step at a time. It's not going to happen overnight because you didn't get to where you're at overnight. But having that aligned action, extending that curiosity and that choice, right? You get to choose. And, you get to choose in every 10 seconds. What do you want to do? You can choose to be in judgment and in resistance of the world and mad at the world, or you can choose to go, well, what can I do? I can do this, or I could do that. You can only control yourself, and you can control your thoughts. Now that's a whole nother conversation, but you can control your thoughts, right? You can't control the world. There's lots of crazy stuff going on in the world, no matter what your views are. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. And if we allow that to determine how we respond, the world's in control. Our emotions are in control. We're not in control.
Yeah.
Again, that could be a whole nother workshop.
Yeah, it is actually.
Oh, goodness. Well, thank you all for showing up. It was so great to have all of you here with me today. Again, a lot of you shook your head or nodded your head that it was valuable. And that's my goal, is for this to be valuable and to just be, a blessing to help with little things, all sorts of little things. If you have questions or if you have something that you'd want me to dive into more, I'm going to be going over the 7 levels next, but I'm always looking for real questions that I can go into. Motivation is a question I get frequently. So this is actually my 2nd workshop on motivation. And there will probably be many more, because it's definitely one of those things that's a question I get a lot. But so I'm glad you're here. And again, I hope this was helpful, insightful for you today. And if any of you know somebody who this might be valuable for, please invite them. Real Talk with Brooke is completely public. It's there as a free service, a free value for others, and if anybody is ready to take their health journey to another level, I am here. I'm always available to find time to have a free consultation, a phone call, to see how I can serve you to your next step and to your next level. But there's never any pressure. It's always an invitation. But I want people to know that I'm here with my heart wide open to help and serve. So thank you all for being here. I hope
Thank you.
Thank
so
you,
much.
Brooke.
have a wonderful day. We'll see you
Great.
next time.
You
Okay.
too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.